How well are your finances doing compared to other people your age? After studying the finances of hundreds of millennials, I found that financial success comes down to hitting a few simple milestones before you turn 30. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 essential goals you need to hit to clearly measure your progress and easily reach financial independence without needing to earn millions. And let's start with the goal you absolutely must have if you ever want enough money to live the life you want. Back in 2022, I had what most people would call a great job. I was earning a high salary and I was on the fast track to an amazing career. But there was one problem. I wasn't happy. Every morning, I woke up feeling miserable about going to work. I constantly turned down invitations from friends because I was always working. I felt trapped, even though on paper I had everything I was supposed to want. Then one day, everything changed. I was traveling in Thailand with my girlfriend, and something inside me shifted. I started questioning myself and realized this isn't the life I want. I'm chasing someone else's definition of success. The trip changed my life. I realized I couldn't enjoy the money I earned because I wasn't living somewhere I liked. I saw that people ahead of me in my career had lives I would never choose for myself. And I understood that there's no point earning hundreds of thousands of euros if you're not living the life you desire. Thanks to that realization, I finally knew which direction to take. And today I'm happier, more fulfilled, and I have more money. That's why your first goal must be to clearly understand what you want from your life. Because without knowing this, you will never set a meaningful financial goals that will also bring you happiness. But how do you do that? First, you need to design the life you want 10 years from now. Where do you want to live? How much free time do you want for family, friends, and your passions? How many holidays would you like to take every year? Asking yourself these type of questions will guide you to understand what type of lifestyle you desire. Second, you have to understand the cost of this lifestyle. Buying a house in London is not the same thing as buying one in Bologna, my hometown. And to make these 2 steps easier, I prepared for you a simple template you can use to do that. Once you've done this, you'll have a number showing how much money you will actually need and a lifestyle you can aim for. And if you're feeling behind, unsure, or overwhelmed right now, don't worry. I felt exactly the same way, and so do many others. Finding clarity takes time, but believe me, it's worth it. And all this brings us to the next goal, one that's essential if you want to fulfill your ambitions. Imagine now that you're baking a cheesecake for the first time. You're confident and sure it will turn out great, so you decide to trust your cooking instincts and skip the recipe. Well, what do you think happens? You end up with a cheesecake that looks more like a melted pizza. And it's exactly the same when it comes to accumulating money. If you don't have a clear recipe, you'll never reach your financial goals. That's why your next goal is to build your own 100K plan. But how do you do that? First, clearly define your financial target and time frame. For example, your goal might be saving 100,000 euros within 10 years. Next, understand where you stand right now. Write down your current savings, your annual income, how much you're currently saving each year, and any other information relevant to your objective. Then, based on that, ask yourself, will I reach my goal if I keep doing what I'm doing? If the answer is yes, fantastic, just keep going. But if the answer is no, don't worry. It simply means you need to adjust your approach. Maybe you will need to learn new skills to earn a promotion. Maybe you will need to cut down on certain expenses to save more money. Or maybe you will consider starting a side hustle to boost your income. The exact steps will depend on your unique personal situation and goals. But once your roadmap is clear and aligned with your life direction, all you have to do is follow it consistently and watch your money steadily grow. And believe me, having this clear plan will make achieving your financial objectives simpler and faster. But most people fail here because they stop following their plan consistently. That's why this third goal is critical. And once you have it, even saving thousands of euros per month can become effortless. Because imagine you've just finished dinner and there's a pile of dishes to clean. You could wash everything by hand, but it's messy and slow. And since it's so boring, sometimes you leave it for later and the dishes pile up even more. But well, we're in the 21st century. So instead, you just load the dishwasher, press a button, and everything's clean. It's faster, easier, and completely effortless, right? Managing your money works exactly the same. And that's why you need a simple system that makes handling your finances automatic and stress free. But how do you create this money management system? First thing first, automate as many transactions as possible. Your rent, your savings, or even your taxes, automate everything you can. And here's a bonus tip. If your goal is to accumulate money, your savings should automatically leave your account first immediately after your salary arrives, not rent or other expenses. Once you've automated your finances, there are two key numbers you should track regularly to make sure you're progressing. Number one, your net worth, which is simply how much you own minus how much you owe. And tracking this number will show you if you're moving in the right direction. Number two, your monthly expenses. Nowadays, most banks provide easy ways to track expenses directly through online banking. But if you prefer, you can use a simple Google Sheet as I do. Either way, tracking your expenses will help you quickly spot if certain costs are higher than expected. So, just by setting this easy and automated money management system, you will accumulate more money than ever before, while also saving yourself a huge amount of time and stress. This next goal will help your money grow even faster. Because imagine you're working at a bar making cocktails. Would you keep the ice for the drinks sitting out on the counter or in the freezer? Obviously, you would keep it in the freezer, right? But here's the reality. Most people leave their money out melting on the counter instead of putting it into the freezer to let it grow. Because if your money is simply sitting in a bank account, it's losing value every year due to inflation. But you'd rather want your money to grow, right? Well, that's exactly what the fourth goal is about, and it could even make you a millionaire. So, how do you make your money grow? It's actually very simple. First, follow the 15% rule. This means constantly setting aside at least 15% of your monthly income to let it grow. And why 15%? Because it's a realistic amount that could make you wealthy over time without drastically changing your lifestyle today. Secondly, invest this money. There are several ways, but the simplest and most effective approach is investing in the stock market. But this brings us straight into the next big problem, a mistake that could cost you more than 1 million euros. Back in the 90s, my father started investing his money, which sounds great, except he made one mistake that cost him about 2% per year in returns. Now, 2% might not seem like much, but over 30 years it adds up to millions of euros lost. What was the mistake? He let his bank handle his investments. And not only were the bank's investments underperforming, but they also charged him a huge annual fee of 2%. With compound interest, this fee becomes a big amount of money. So, how do you invest your money without relying on a bank? It's actually simpler than you might think. I have an entire video specifically dedicated to this, but here's a short summary. First, you open an investing account with a good broker such as Interactive Brokers or Trading 212. Then, you regularly invest the 15% you set aside into simple, diversified, and low-cost funds called ETFs, which replicate portions of the stock market. For example, one ETF I'd recommend to everyone is VUAA, which replicates the Standard & Poor's 500, the 500 biggest companies in the US. Another great ETF is EXUS, which replicates the global stock market excluding the US. By simply combining these two ETFs, even a complete beginner can build a strong investment portfolio that will definitely beat typical bank advice. And don't worry, these ETFs are incredibly simple to buy and manage. To give you an idea, investing 500 euros per month this way over the last 30 years could have grown to more than 1 million euros. So your fifth goal is clear: learn to invest by yourself. It's simpler than you might think, and doing this can potentially mean millions more euros in your lifetime. The thing is, even if you manage to reach all these goals, there's still one huge trap that could completely destroy your finances. I've personally seen many people fall for it, ending up stressed and struggling just to pay their bills. And that's why I created a video revealing exactly what this costly mistake is and how you can easily avoid it, potentially saving yourself hundreds of thousands of euros. And you can watch that video right here.